Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. If you haven't already, like and subscribe to the channel, push on your notification bell so that you're totally aware when I post another random video doing some mundane thing, wrenching on some awesome project, or at Speedway, because that's always a good time. Hey, today we're gonna be pulling the carb off of the bobber here. There it is. Pulling the carb off the bobber, and the floats are stuck. It's been sitting for a while, so I'm just gonna pull this guy off and clean him up and put it back together, and that should solve the problem. So obviously, if you have a GL 1100 or a sweet bobber like this one, which is a GL 1100. I didn't change any of the mechanics on this bike, just changed some of the frame. This bit here changed so that I squeezed that together so I could get the other tank on, and then took a bunch out of here to lower the back down. But if you're gonna have to do this on yours, obviously you're gonna pull the air cleaner off. You've got this contraption here that holds the air cleaner, and a couple of 10 mil bolts hold it down onto the top of the intake. So you're just going to pull that all out, and then this here is going to be a real pain because I tightened up this frame, so it's really tight in here, but it comes out. And so that's all factory Honda. Then you're going to do your throttle cables right in here. So there's two, top one, bottom one. They've got nut like this and a lock nut here. You just loosen that guy off, and then you pop them out of these little collets here, and then just pull both of them off and just get them up out of the way. Then each side, you pull your spark plug wires out of the way, because they'll just be in the way. And then each side's got a 10 mil bolt times 2, so total there's 8 of them, and these usually aren't very tight, and I just spin them out with one of these guys, which is awesome. Pull that out of there, and you can see it there. And then it comes out best to the left. So once you've cracked them loose, they've got an O-ring in there. This one went with it, but the O-ring's what seals it. So you want to make sure you don't damage that. Just pop it up, and then it'll come out the left-hand side here. Once you get all this out of the way. Hold on, I'm gonna have to put the phone. Once you get it kind of on its way out, you can get access to the choke cable right here. You can't really get access to that nut because it's behind the frame there, but once you pull it out, you can, just a little ways. So you remember, when you're putting it back in, you gotta put that back together first as it's going in. And then obviously your fuel line is easy. I mean, you guys aren't morons, you're just addicted to watching mundane videos like me. So I've got it out here. When I disassemble the carb like this, I always like to put it on a mat that's nice and clean so you can see everything, and not get a whole bunch of crap in there, but also have it oriented so it's like you're sitting on the bike. So that's forward, left, right, and then you pull everything off for the carb that goes there. It goes there for that one, so you don't mix and match and everything. And cameras are awesome, camera phones, because you just take pictures of everything, so that way when you can't figure out how to put it back together, you can just go and pick up the pictures. So what I've done here, you saw me, obviously I flipped it over. You saw that happen in the time lapse. So this float bowl assembly actually goes to the front right. That one's to the back right, and so on and so forth. So that's why you saw me put it across instead of right beside. And then I pulled out the float itself and the needle. So these little guys I'm going to clean up, and they're on a little tiny spring, and they sit in there on that seat. And so I sprayed some Carb cleaner down in here and all these ports as well, and you can see it's starting to trickle out. It's actually coming out the fuel input or return line, so it's getting through, and sorry, not that, it's coming out the air intake, so it's running through the passages and then coming out the bottom here, or the top. And so I'm going to let that sit overnight, throw a rag over top of it. Also remember that, especially if you got it sitting for a long time, you don't want spiders and junk and dirt and crap going in there. So I'm going to put some masking tape over these intake ports. And this is all going to get a nice big cleanup. And I got to tidy up some wiring and stuff. And I've got a new blinker relay that's going in. And so I'll do a video on that. I'll just show it to you. It's in this package right here. It's from Moto Gadget, German company. So pretty stoked about that. This one is called, hold on, I'm really good at the camera, by the way. So Moto Gadget's the company, and it's the Mo Relay Plus. And so this relay is real slick, because when I put these bars on here 2 years ago, these are actually Harley style controls, so they're for a 1-inch, because I've got 1-inch bars on here now. And the on Harley, the turn signal is just a push button. It doesn't actually stay on because it uses a computer system to run that all, which most bikes do now. And the Mo Relay mimics that. So one quick tap on the button gives you 3 blinks like you're changing lanes. You hold it in and then release it, it'll stay on. You push it again, it'll come off. And if you push both left and right together, it actually does hazards. So I'm pretty stoked about putting that in. I gotta clean some of this up here too, because this gotta go in for compliance testing to go on the road here in New Zealand. So I gotta make sure that everything's the way they want it, which means I'm gonna have to probably put front blinkers. I'll put them just on here. I've got a spare set, because I do have bar end blinkers, you can see there, but I'm not sure that they're actually gonna meet compliance. And then I've also got to put on my other front brake assembly, which is sitting here, because that actually runs off of the hand control. So I don't know if you guys are aware that the GL 1100s came out with a split system. So they had dual disc in the front, but the disc that I actually have on here now is taking 60% pressure when you push the pedal for the rear brake. So when you slam on the pedal for the rear brake on these old Goldwings, you're actually doing a 60-40 split front and back. So you don't get that squirrely back wheel, because it's planting the bike nicely on the road. And so when I was running this in Canada, I just pulled that front brake off because it cleans up the bars nicely, and I really like that look. Don't look at that. That's just a stupid thing I put on there for fun. But I'm gonna have to put that back on for compliance testing here. And anybody else that rides the bike, when there isn't that front lever to grab hold of, it's a little unnerving until you get used to it. So anyways, there's a few tidy up things. I'll do videos on this one. I'll do the time lapse of this going back together and a fire up. So I cleaned it all up, put it back together, and it was still leaking. I had it back in the bike, and I'll flip this over. So the fuel comes in right here, and then it fills this bowl first, no leaks. Then it fills across this tube, and there's an overflow goes back here. So this is the filler main line, fills this bowl. This comes back, and then it shoots across here, comes through here, goes this way, and then comes across into this side here, and then it comes across, fills this. And these guys are all leaking, all in here. And so I did that side already. You have to pull the whole thing apart. And you've got two little, oh, they were all busted. I'll pull this one apart, show you exactly. You don't have to take everything off, because as soon as you take this intake housing off, there's 4 bolts that hold the screen in there, those 4 bolts. As soon as you pull those off, this actually comes apart, and the only thing really joining the two sides is the throttle linkage here, and that spring pops out, and that just fits underneath the adjustment nut there. There's just a little tab, this slides out. So they can come apart pretty easily that way. And then the butterflies are right here, and they just slot together. I'll show you in a second. So that's it. This has some has studs on it, alignment studs. And as soon as you pull that off, these two guys just pull right apart, whoop, just like that. And these are the O-rings that are all crappy and hard, and it's just leaking past them like crazy. That one and this guy, they're like flat. And then so the fuel comes in here onto this guy here, this port, and then that return line is this little guy here. And I'll show you that these are the, sorry, here and there. These are the O-rings for that right there. And these, I don't actually have new ones of these, so I just have to clean them up. I have a new one of the small one, but not the big one. This big one actually isn't an O-ring. It's like a little gasket. See, it's square, it's not round. So we've got no leaks anymore. They were all leaking out of here, out of those cross tubes in the back, and we're all dry. Does need a little bit of choke right now. Just a tad. Headlight doesn't work for some reason. But it's good to get it running again. I got the choke set up right here. It used to be up on the handlebar. So I've also been tinkering on the old battery box here. So I had the, what is that, 7.65 round, 200 cartridges, 7.62, sorry, NATO rounds, so basically AR-15 bullets. And I had Don Schellenberg worked with my pop. He shrunk the can, TIG welded that up. That was a couple years back. I always had this lid and it was never on there, so you could see the tops of the batteries. And so what I did is I I drilled out the spot welds that hold these end brackets on, sliced down the top so it would fit again, and then adjusted it, you know, for around all my wires and stuff that come in. I had all of my starter solenoid and everything was mounted right here before, and a whole bunch of wires around here. So now the battery I've got is one of those sealed gel batteries. It's not one of those lithium ion ones, because if you don't redo all like the rectifier and everything with the lithium ion batteries, I had one in here for a while and all of a sudden it got over voltaged for whatever reason, and just like you're sitting right here and all of a sudden all this smoke coming out. So, and then of course the bike died, the fuse went, and that was no good. So I put in one of these just glass mat ones, so they're you know, any direction you can hold them still, just like the lithium ion ones, but they're sealed, you don't have to maintain them or nothing, and it's quite a bit smaller, so I had space in here. I could mount the solenoid and that all in there. And then I redid the rear tail lights and brake lights, so they were coming up here before and around, and it was all piled up in here. So I redid those, and they're both coming up and tucked in, so that's all hidden. And then I put them in a proper clip so they can be disconnected properly, like. And a while back I had picked up one of these kits which does exactly those like OEM style plugins, and super slick because there's a whole bunch of different options like 9s and 12s and 6s and 2-ways and all that kind of stuff. And then they use these little brass grommet clips that go in there, so you've got the males and the females. And then they use a special pliers that came with the kit. But I also picked up the same style of crimp, but these are the factory style butt connectors that they use as well. So they've got the clear silicone cover that slides over, and again they crimp on there proper like. And maybe one video coming up I'll show you exactly how that works. But I had originally got that because I was doing that Speedo for that other 750, and it had one of those adapters on it, so I figured, well, why don't I get the stuff to reuse that? And so I put one in there. I got to do some wiring up in here. I've got the blinker relay to put in and stuff, so I'm going to switch out a lot of those crappy butt connectors into those factory ones. So anyways, I did that, and then on the lid here, so that I had to cut this down, but you don't have to get in there very often, like, and it just snaps down. It's the factory hold down. So then this lid here, what I did is I welded in a plate with a hole right here, and then just riveted that handle on the top. So from the side, it just looks like the handle is standing up. But the seat that I have has this little tab, which nicely just tucks right in there. And then I've got the mount on the back here is just a bolt on the fender band. So now that's going to go on there like that. And now that's sitting on the front there. Before I had this big old bar thing with bolts from the bottom and stuff. So now to get into the battery, it's basically one nut, flip the lock, open the lid, and you're done. And then also to get into the fuse there and stuff. So I did that while I was waiting for parts to wash for the old carburation here. And that's all squared away now. So next on the list for here, I got to put the front fender. I got to put the other brake on, so I've got a brake lever up top. Because in Canada I was running just with the foot brake. But here I'm going to need to have the hand brake to pass the certification. And then I've got the blinker relay to do, and tidy up a few things, and then send it in for compliance. Hey, I know I'm harping on this every video, but the way that Google, YouTube's, interwebs does their algorithms and stuff, the more subscribers and likes on a video, the more people get to watch it and get to find it. So make sure you're doing that. Like the videos, subscribe, copy the link, send it to all your mates on Instagrams, on Facebook, on whatever you twit face that you're doing, and share it up. And the store is going live again real soon, so keep a lookout for that, and we'll catch you soon.